Welcome to Music Mondays at the Lab. I'm your host, Dame Carter, and tonight we got a special guest all the way from the West Coast. Grammy nominated, multi platinum. They call him the Genie. Y'all gonna understand this in a minute. He then produced songs for Easy E, MC Ren, The Game, Snoop Dogg, Paperboy, Mac 10, the list goes on. It's no other than the legendary icon, Rhythm D. What's up, my guy?
What it do, man?
Oh man, it's a pleasure to have you, my guy, for real.
Pleasure being here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anything that I missed, you could feel free to, to add on your accolades, before we jump right into the good stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, not really. Like Easy E, Paperboy, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Mac 10, Snoop Dogg, uh, MC Ren. I mean, you name it. I probably have produced a track, released or not released, on pretty much everybody on the West.
Word,
Yeah,
word. That's what's up. That's what's up.
yeah.
So tell me about growing up in South Central LA. What music influenced you as a kid?
Well, my parents were a little bit older than normal back in the 70s. They were already like late 30s, early 40s when they had me. So my influences came from their musical influences, which were like Quincy Jones and uh, a lot of the big bands, Ella Fitzgerald, uh, a lot of the really big, real music, you know, higher echelon, talent that was created back in those times. So uh, I got a lot of my influences by listening to those records, from Barry White, uh, Earth, Wind and Fire,
Hmm.
um, just a lot of George Clinton, Funkadelic, um, a lot of those early records that I used to go inside and get my hands smacked for messing with the turntable that my parents had bought, because I would be, I was only 5, 6 years old,
Okay.
and a lot of that, I just love music. I just for something for some reason that just hearing sound, I would just always be in the bed at night as a kid, you know, wanting to be able to be a musician. So having those influences at a young age really got me heavily involved in pursuing that as my dream.
Facts.
Um,
That's what's up.
yeah,
You named a lot of greats, man, that people have sampled their music or was overly inspired to produce and write
yeah,
at that point.
yeah. It was yeah, it's been quite a journey. I can't really not re- I learned a lot of lessons on my come up.
Okay.
Like most people do,
Okay.
or what you're supposed to. You're supposed to gain wisdom. So uh, I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in music early on. So I would say maybe like eighth grade.
Mm.
Eighth grade, I really, I was like, I'm gonna become a music producer, because I always wanted to be behind the scenes. I didn't really, I didn't really have the passion to be an artist,
Okay.
even though I dabbled in it. I've had, different hip hop crews and all that, but I really like behind the scenes in creating the artists and the music.
Mm.
And I remember I started pop locking when I first heard Planet Rock.
Oh
I
yeah, that was
wanted,
my joint, Planet Rock.
yeah, and I really wanted to. I wanted to be a music producer. Once during that time when a lot of that electro funk was out. Once Planet Rock hit, and then you got a whole different side of hip hop. That a really astounding producer named Larry Smith was producing all of Houdini and Run DMC. So a lot of those beats early on really made me want to pursue. being a music producer. I was like, damn, what is that? I'd be hearing stuff. Uh, I used to sit and listen to the production on "Play at Your Own Risk" by Planet Patrol. Just listening to how Arthur Baker took the Planet Rock beat and just kept regurgitating it and creating. Everybody jumped on that pattern. Which he had took from Kraftwerk. But um, yeah, I just wanted to be a music producer and create sound and learn how to, I kind of tried to teach myself how to be a musician. My mom bought me like a upright piano when I was like 6 years old. So
Okay.
I'd go in there and bang on it. I think either the church sold it to her or they gave it to her, but it was old upright. And I used to go in there and learn how to play the theme song to SWAT. I don't know if you
Oh yeah,
remember that,
yeah.
but I learned how to play that. And she came in one day and she heard me playing it. She was like, damn, you're actually playing that at 5. Like you really are hearing the keys and notes. I wasn't fucking around. I was in there actually doom, 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 doom. I was actually playing those
Wow.
notes correctly. And so after that, she never, she always, my mom always like encouraged me to be a musician. Whether it was the musician she wanted me to be or not, she just encouraged and, bought me as much as she could buy me, being as poor as we were growing up.
Okay.
Uh, she was able to facilitate things that I needed. And then, you know, I went on and met different people to figure out everything else.
So
But
what was your first setup as a producer? Like what was your first set of equipment?
my first set of equipment, I I met a manager uh, named Bill Webb. I'm from this like hip hop clique called Intense Method
Okay.
that's
I see that.
tattooed on my arm.
I see that.
And that's the style of my music that I kind of created around the time when New Jack Swing was out. And, that was my grow up time, the New Jack Swing time, the time when Full Force was big, Roxanne. That was my era of
Yeah.
being a teenager, and then of course you had Prince and all of that. But uh, I uh, I finally met a manager through one of my other partners in my clique named Busy Bill. Uh, they called him Nutty Biz now, but he was a rapper that I met. He was a little bit younger than me, but he was super into LL Cool J, and he rapped. He could like really rap like LL, but he was just a dope rapper.
Right.
Uh, but we started this crew called Hard to Oppose, and later on we turned it into Intense Method. But uh, his grandfather knew a guy named Bill Webb, and I think it was around like 86 or 87. Uh, I met a cat named Battle Cat, and Battle Cat had all the equipment. Uh, it was like a combination of Battle Cat and DJ Slice, uh, one of the cats I went to school with. He had equipment at his house, and Battle Cat had equipment at his house, and they both kind of lived within the same vicinity. So I would hop from both different spots,
Okay.
learn how to DJ a little bit, and Cat had an SP 1200, and he started showing me how to actually work the drum machine. And so I ran back and I told Bill, I was like, man, if you get me this drum machine, I'll sign to you as a manager.
Mm.
And I was like, it'll change my life. It'll change all our lives if you buy me this drum machine. So Bill went off and he spent I think back then they were almost about $4,000, I think. And he went to Guitar Center and he bought me the drum machine. And then after that, it was over. So I had an
Wow.
SP 12. I now had my SP 1200. I had a bunch of crates of records, uh, and I had one turntable, and I had a a Casio keyboard, and a 4-track. And what else did I have? That's pretty much it. I had a
Wow.
I had a I had a Yamaha DX7 that had one key missing and one and a half speakers.
One of them speakers. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
and it was all in this room. Like this room is the room I grew up in, making beats and being in hip hop. This is at my house.
Okay.
I own my I own my home. My parents left me my home in South Central LA. I'm here in LA right now, and this house still looks like 1980. I call it Stranger Things because it looks exactly like that TV show. But I actually put a setup in here, and the vibe that I get in here in this room is ridiculous, based on me being a little boy in here, and now I'm this producer that I wanted to be. And it's like I went back in time but bought futuristic equipment with me.
Right. Yep. Yep.
So the type of beats I've been making here have been stupid because they still grimy. I can go grimy hip hop. I can go boom bap. I can hit every era that I always wanted to hit just from being in this vibe in the room. It's ridiculous. You know, it's not super pretty, but I got all the stuff that I had everything that I had back then, plus the future. So it's crazy. But yeah, those that's
Creative, yo. That's a very
yeah,
creative space you
yeah,
have going on over there. I see it.
yeah.
You
I
know.
like creating here than I better than I do in like a big elaborate studio. Like my studio in Atlanta is real pretty, and it looks like aesthetically right, like how they all look. But the vibe in here is like I could go out and look in the house and still feel the spirits of my family. You know what I'm saying? So
Word.
it's crazy. But yeah, those are the that's the gear that I had, and I just started going, man. I started sampling snares and kicks and all types of stuff from all these different records that I have, from 45s to 78s, to it, like 8 tracks. I had I was just running it into the SP and making my own sounds and trying to be, you know, real original.
Wow. So
Mm-hmm.
you producing, your first set of equipment. What was it like when you sold your first beat,
Man,
and who was it?
um, who bought my first beat?
Correct.
This is gonna sound crazy and a little bit like surreal, but the first person to buy a beat from me or got production from me was Smokey Robinson. That was the
Whoa.
first. Yeah, that's a flex. You know,
Wow. The
I just flexed on
Smokey,
it.
my
Yeah,
man.
Smokey. Yeah, he was. I was like put it like this. I was making a little bit of money here and there through a lot. Being from the hood, a lot of Crips and Bloods are the homies that I grew up with, and some of them would become dope dealers, and some of them was cutting hair, some of them was DJing, some of them were some was playing sports. But if they had anything that they were trying to do to be in the music industry, they would slide me a couple of hundred here and there, and they was
Okay.
trying to make it.
Right.
But for someone of that valuable, like a legend like that, to have been the first person to give me over a couple of grand for a track, that was big,
Wow. What year was
And
this in?
I didn't even have a hit record then.
Really?
He believed in his daughter. Me and his daughter were real close,
Okay.
and I was in a clique. I had like a really big friend group that she was part of, and we were all friends. And yeah, shout out to Tamla and Smokey, and my boy KD.
Okay.
Shout out to KD. But yeah, that he was the first person to really give me a nice little chunk of change for my age and at that time for a track. Yeah,
Yo, that's crazy dope.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And
They were singing.
that's wild right there. That's
Mhm. She was actually singing, and I was producing her and another girl that was in the clique, and they were going to start a singing group. And I went in there, produced a song on them. I would be at a studio
mm,
that at this studio I was at, I was kind of working there so I can get the downtime when nobody was in the studio to actually make my own music while I was there. So it was a studio called Music in Motion. I took them over there. We rented some studio time, and yeah, it was fun. It was I got stories. Yeah,
That's a heck of a story, though.
yeah,
Smokey Robinson, boy, the track for
yeah,
me. Wow,
yeah,
that's very iconic.
yeah.
So yeah, so jumping back in, I mean, you know, tell us why you left Death Row before the Chronic.
Um, well, it had a couple of things that like Suge. I met Suge Knight probably late. I would say maybe late 90 1991.
Okay.
And this is around the time when I was working with Paperboy. And Suge is the one that brought me over to Death Row.
Mm.
Uh, and I met Suge through a girl that rapped who just so happened to be his cousin. Her name was Tammy. And she was, I think Cat was producing her, and then she came over to get some beats from me, and she was like, "You need to meet my cousin. He's starting a label." Now I didn't even know that was Death Row. I just went and met up with this big football playing nigga that was cool as a motherfucker. I met him up at Fatburger in North Hollywood, and he told me that he was starting a label, and he needed some producers, and you know, right after that, I didn't see him for about a few months, and that's when Paperboy hit, and I ran back into Suge through uh, through the Lady of Rage.
Okay.
I met the Lady of Rage through uh, a rapper, a female rapper named Diamond, that used to live next door to me. And Diamond knew all the rappers. She was rapping. I was producing her too. Uh, these are all the people that are in my vicinity of me being able to get beats to.
Okay.
So Diamond bought Diamond brought Rage over to my house in this room, and I had my SB 1200, and I was making beats, and she bought Rage over here, and when she brought her in the room, I was playing beats, and Rage was like, "You need to meet Dre," and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "You're right,"
Absolutely.
uh, and she was like, "Yeah, he got a label." She started running it down, and I was like, "Damn, that's dope." As I'm looking at this big old poster that was in my room of NWA. They had this poster of NWA, and they were all sitting around a poker table. I don't know if you guys remember that,
Mm-hmm.
but it was this poster, and that's what I had in my room, right next to where my SB 1200 was, and all the stuff that I wanted. And uh, Rage called uh, an engineer on the phone named John Payne, and John Payne called Suge, and Suge remembered, yeah, that's Rhythm. I met up with him already. So you see how the
I
stars
got you.
be,
Yeah.
and then what else happened there? Oh, and then right after that, I met up with John Payne, went up to Death Row, and I went and met him up. It was Death Row was at it was at where it was at Galaxy Studios, which is the home for Solar Records.
Right. Solar. Yeah, I remember that.
So they had a room in there, and I went in that big ass room. That was the first time I was ever around a big SSL board. I'd never been around a studio board like that, and it was fascinating. And I walked in, and John Payne was in there mixing something, and I bought a big old tackle box full of SB 1200 discs and my SB 1200. I used to keep my SB 1200 in a big ass suitcase, to where I was lugging that motherfucker around, and I walked in there and I played John Payne some of the beats that I had in the SP, and he was like, "Yeah, this." He called Suge. He was like, "Yeah, yeah, he the truth." And then that's when I started my journey, you know, being over there.
Okay.
And that's when I got a chance to produce this. It was a girl over there named, she was another female rapper named Paradise. And uh, she needed a song to go on the deep cover soundtrack.
Mm.
And so I produced Down with My Nigga on that. Me and DJ Unknown, we produced that.
Okay.
It's a song on the deep cover soundtrack called Down with My Nigga. And that was my first time on wax outside of Paperboy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of a soundtrack. That's crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that my first time. So if you look at the Diddy, I had two things popping at the Diddy on the radio, and like it was blowing up all around that time.
Okay.
So I didn't think it was gonna blow that big. It went stupid. So as I was trying to be down with Death Row, what I always wished for was already happening by my own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what I was grinding at, I was so excited about being over at Death Row, I didn't really pay attention to like nigga, you got a hit record already because of the Hollywood side of Dr. Dre got his own label. Suge done brought me over there. I thought I was ready to roll. I'm
Okay.
like, okay, damn. The Diddy, nigga, I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
but that was my solo production debut that went uh I think it went double platinum in the single went double platinum and the album would go.
Okay. Like, I was in heavy rotation on that record.
Man, it was in such rotation that it made me tired of hearing it. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like they're playing it like the thong song.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know we know how that thong song went.
So you can
Absolutely.
imagine. But yeah, I got when I was at Death Row, I realized like I started seeing in you know how there's sort of like a I don't know how to really explain it. If when you're coming up in a business where there's a bunch of popular, talented people, you're you're in competition.
Right.
And our music business is based around Hollywood and you know,
I got
gangster shit.
you. Yeah.
So I'm too big to be little guy, or thought that like
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
already I've had big brothers. You know how big brothers are, and
Hmm.
they it's just the little guy shit that you know that I didn't like in certain people, and it just it led me to where I needed to be based on the universe.
Okay.
My
I
story,
can take that.
my story was not supposed to be there, but it was a big part of
But
Death
yeah,
Row.
yeah, that's what I was going to get into. Like,
Yeah, it's like sometimes you gotta. What I've learned is sometimes you gotta trust what the universe is doing and ride it and not fight it. You got to ride the wave a little bit and be like, okay, what is this? Why am I here? Why am I dealing with this? And why'd you say that
mm,
type of shit? You feel
mm,
me?
okay,
Like
yeah,
I'm rhythm. I'm rhythm.
right.
You know, like in a way, it's sort of like when I was. That's why I really love the tenacity and just the Mamba attitude of Kobe because he didn't give
Mm,
a fuck. He didn't
mm,
give a shit if that was Michael Jordan guarding him. He's the first Kobe.
right.
So if you're going to be the first version of who you're supposed to be, have no fear because you're already that in the future. So it's no way that there's nothing that's going to stop your movement no matter what happens. It's part of the story. You're going to be that. Yeah.
I
A lot
believe
of
that.
people don't follow Yeah, a lot of people don't follow their passion because somebody said something to them.
Yeah, They made him
that
dummy
threw him
theyself
off.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen to Rhythm.
Yeah, nah.
Mm-mm. I was already Rhythm D before I got over there. You know, my
Absolutely.
thing is,
Sure.
it just so I tell you what happened, man. I some things were said and that rubbed me the wrong way, and I left an event that was happening, and I got in the car. It was in a little beat up RX-2. I had a Mazda
Oh
RX-2.
yeah, I know them
It
joints. That
used
was
to
a cool joint.
backfire.
Yeah.
Motherfucker used to backfire when I hit 60.
Mm.
And I'm leaving. I'm leaving Calabasas, and I'm on the freeway, and it's raining. Man, I was mad as a motherfucker. And I'm sitting there, and I turned the radio on, and the Diddy came on, Kiss FM, which is a pop station.
Yep.
And I never went back up to Death Row
Because you knew what you
after that
had.
night.
You knew what you had.
Yeah,
You didn't let them define you. You said,
yeah.
oh, wait, hold
Now,
up. You went back
yeah,
to your element.
it was just more or less. It was like, do you know who you fucking with? You know what I mean? I'm a superhero.
Yep.
I'm an Avenger too, nigga. Like you got me fucked up. Like you might be Superman, I might be Batman. You know, but yeah, it was all in the name of hip hop going through some gangster ass shit. Which I'm a music producer. I just know how to make gangster beats because I'm from the hood. I'm from South Central,
Right.
so my being is street and logic.
Mm.
I'm a brain. I'm a creator, but this my hood. You feel me? I'm from the block, so it's a
Absolutely.
whole different type of nigga. Yeah,
Wow.
we yeah like in essence, we all kind of the same. You know what I'm saying? Like
Indeed. Yep.
ain't nobody a punk, ain't nobody on some bullshit. We all it's just some people, some of us have a different mentality, you know. Some people choose to be Darth Vader, some people choose to be Luke Skywalker, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I that journey is what turned it into me being over at Ruthless.
Oh, yeah, let's get into Ruthless. Let's get into
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, how did that come about? Because I mean, you
So
already
that
said you had a number one hit. You
yeah.
know, you was already doing you. You experienced some death row, and you know, you pretty much went back into your own element, and now you at Ruthless. How that? I mean,
Well, see, what happened was all the people I met over at Death Row, I ended up having cool relationships with them. So I would say probably about a month after I stopped going to Death Row, they finally finished the Chronic record, and it was mad banging on the radio.
mm-hmm,
You heard, of course they had the deep cover record, then they had nothing but a G thing,
mm-hmm.
and it was banging, but nobody in their mama knew that Dr. Dre and Easy was beefing, except me and
Oh,
everybody that was at Death Row. You feel me?
oh, okay,
The
okay.
world didn't when nothing but a G thing pop came out. People didn't know that Dre and Easy wasn't cool. They didn't even say that, and they didn't say none of that in the song.
Absolutely.
You know, uh, but those two songs was banging on the radio. The Diddy was on the radio. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, and I was at a very popular club. I was very popular at a club called Jamaica House. Me and my whole clique. The clique I told you that I hung out with.
Right.
I think at the time we called ourselves the Nubian Mafia or something. It was some crazy ass name, but we were very popular at this club as we were all coming up. Like I said, some wanted to be actors, some wanted to be lawyers. You had everybody coming up, and a lot of these people are my friends, and I've seen them just blow up, whether they're actors, lawyers, doctors, whatever it might have been. We were all in this really close, really tight friendship.
Okay.
And they would play the song "The Diddy in the Club." The actual people that ran the club were the people that signed Paperboy. So they broke the record in the
Wow.
club.
Wow.
So I'm in the, I'm in the club. I'm that guy. My whole clique is banging, bottles is popping. In the 90s, we was having a great time. So I remember like it was yesterday. 2 months prior to that, um, the riots hit.
Yeah.
The 92 riots hit, and we were on curfew. I think I was stuck at Smokey's house, and I got a page on my pager from the homegirl. One of the homegirls worked over there. Her name was Jamie. She paged me, and she said when I went and called her back from the phone, because we didn't have no text messages and no shit.
Right, right, right.
I had to go to a phone and call that number back and call her back and shit. And she's like, "Yo, Rhythm, a homegirl, she's rapping. She needs, she wants you to do some beats. I think you should help her out." And I'm like, all right, like, what's it gonna hurt? This would be enough. This would be a female rapper. Maybe she might be dope, right?
Okay, cool.
So Jamie gave her my number, and it ended up being Tracy, Easy's baby mama.
God damn.
And I didn't know that for about probably a month when I was working with her. She never told me who she was. She just, she was just like, every time that I'd finish a song on her, she'd be like, "My baby daddy needs you." And I'd be like, "Who the fuck is your baby daddy?" You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's a dope dealer, because that's all I would run into, a nigga that play ball, or another dope dealer that want to put in 100,000 and,
Right.
try to do a hood record. I didn't know. But every time I did a song, we'd be banging that shit in the car. She's like, "My baby daddy needs you bad." And then I was like, "Who the fuck is your baby daddy?" She's like, "I'm gonna tell you, just finish my shit." And I was like, "All right." So I finally finished some songs on her and stuff, and she was like, uh, she brought me to her house, and when I walked in her house, she had plaques of NWA and Eazy-E and a whole bunch of Ruthless shit, and I'm like, "Who your baby daddy?" She was like, "My baby daddy, Eazy-E." And then I looked at her daughter, and I was like, "That's who your face looked like." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Ah.
yeah, and she gave the nigga my number, and the nigga called. Yeah,
Wow. Isn't it crazy? Like back in the day, it was easy for everybody to communicate rather than now.
man.
You know, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna call you, and people actually will call you back then
Yeah.
and see what you get getting into. Now, this music industry is way different.
Well, technology's different, man.
Yeah.
Technology has changed humans. The technology has gotten better and humans have gotten worse.
Right. That's
Isn't that
facts.
crazy?
That's facts. That's
Yeah. So in
facts.
a minute, we're gonna need AI to bring us together.
Mm.
Think about that. We're getting so
Yeah.
close. We're getting so close to the Matrix and the Terminator. It should be scaring people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We need Arnold.
yeah.
What's my man Arnold Schwarzenegger? We need him right about now.
I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, really watch those movies now. It's gonna have a whole different meaning.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So,
But yeah,
what was it like
go
working
ahead.
with Easy though? What was the vibe like though when you first really like when y'all first linked up?
When I first linked up with Easy, I was in the studio working on Paperboy's album,
Okay.
and I flexed on them dudes. Them dudes wasn't paying me no money or none of that. I did Paperboy's whole album for free.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But they was doing us foul, shiesty ass bullshit,
Right.
typical industry story type shit.
Hmm.
But I I called Easy, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Yo, whatever studio you gonna be at, I'm gonna come by and I need to hear some beats." And he was like, I was like, "All right, I'm gonna be at the studio." So I, told him where I was gonna be at, and he came by, and I flexed on all of them. They was like, "This nigga brought Easy E over to the house. What's Rhythm up to?" You know what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, nigga, Easy E's outside. Let him in. I need to take about an hour to play him. I did it on their time too. They paid
No
for the.
doubt.
It was on their session. You know. But he came through. I played him some tracks, and he wasn't really feeling what I was playing because I wasn't playing really nothing that I had did outside of the sound that was being made over at Death Row. I
Okay.
was trying to, like play him like, yo, this the sound. These niggas about to come out here and murder you with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but when it was all said and done, before he left the studio, it's like, man, come out to my house because I got a studio there. I got more time. And first I thought I hadn't got the position. This is a job, nigga. I'm
Right.
about to get hired. The CEO that came all the way over here, and I didn't impress him with one beat. And I'm like, oh fuck. So he invited me out to his crib out in Norwalk, California, and I drove out there. And I walked in. He had a bedroom in there with a full studio with an Akai 4-track, all the equipment that I dreamed about having.
Mm-hmm.
He had, and I went in there and I put in like one disc from some beats that was straight from the genie's head. Had nothing to do with G Funk or none of that stuff.
Okay.
That nigga came running out the room like, "Nigga, you did that," and he was super impressed. Yeah, just off of that SP 1200, I was like, "Boom," and
Unlimited
he was like,
surprise. You both got the ace card on them.
"Yeah."
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know it was the Ace card. I didn't have nothing else to play him. I had ran out of G Funk type beats, so I was like, okay, let me play him some full on rhythm. Not let me just be me and push play. And he was highly impressed. He was like, nigga, he pulled out like maybe 5 or 6 grand out of his pocket and was like, you rolling with Ruthless. I'm like, nigga, I'm rolling with Ruthless. You know what I'm
No
saying? So
doubt. Wow.
yeah, out of sock. He used to
Jeez.
keep money in his sock. And the nigga pulled out, we sit there and blow blunt after blunt. And I just started playing. I played it probably like 80 beats out the SP 1200. I was able to
Jeez.
I was able to plug, we producers, so I was able to plug all the outs of the SP into the Kai 12 track and get them all on. I was happy as fuck. I was in there
Mm,
like, nigga, I got a little mini ass SSL in this bitch. I was happy. Yeah.
that's
Now I
dope.
can now I can tweak each sound. It was dope.
Wow.
And he had a JD 800 too. Yeah.
Snaps. That's
Yeah.
that
But he was
equipment
real
was
cool.
phenomenal back then.
Yeah, I've got some great boy. Let me tell you. I mean, the amount of stars and people that people like. I think I met everybody just from being a producer. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. I've had a really cold journey, but it's all been dope. It ain't been no bullshit. The only bullshit is people dying. You know?
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had. And bullshit that's in your personal life when you get to that status that I've been in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
Like,
think that comes with it. I
yeah,
think that comes with it. So,
yeah.
so in your journey, how did you meet Riot and Rip?
I met Riot and Rip uh, early part of between 2000 and let me see, was it 2000 and around 9ish,
Okay.
10ish maybe.
Hmm.
It had to be around that time. Let me see, 10. Yeah, because I hadn't moved to I don't think that I'd moved to Atlanta yet. So it had to be around between 7, 8, and 9
Okay.
around that time. And then we would talk off and on. It had to be around that time, if I'm correct. Because I don't know. Was I coming back here? It had to be between 2010 to like 13 or 14, in between those times.
Okay.
Um, but I met him through Cluso. Uh, Rest in peace. Another producer, friend of mine,
Mm.
real close with me and Battle Cat. Uh, yeah, I met him through Cluso, and he had a studio, and I think he was doing interviews at that. I think the same thing we do. I think he was either interviewing, and if he came out to his studio, I'd have probably smoked them memories away. I'm like, I smoked so much weed, you know.
Well, yeah. I know he had
But
a.
no,
I know he had a dope
I'm
group.
just
I
joking.
know he had a dope group back around that time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I met him as a producer that
Mm-hmm.
was doing film and doing documentaries, and
Right.
I think he came in, and if I'm not mistaken, he came in and he interviewed. Didn't he? Is he there?
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah,
I mean?
yo, yeah. We
Yeah,
met. Actually, we met on some music shit. We didn't really meet on the video shit. The video shit came down the line. That was just like, but we met.
yeah,
Remember that time? I came in and Cluso introduced me to y'all because Battle Cat was there at the same time, and I came
right.
in the hood. I think it was at
Yeah, you can't.
Cluso crib.
No, you
I came to Cluso crib, right?
yeah, you
And
came
Cat,
to yeah,
yeah,
you came to Cluso. You came to Cluso's crib, and that's when I met you at Cluso's crib,
right.
and Cat was there.
Yeah, and Cat was there, and I played some
Right.
beats, and it's kind of
Yep.
like we was all trading off when he it's like almost like a little, here this nigga from the East Coast from Philly coming
Yeah.
in South Central, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, playing some,
Uh-huh.
but we was all it's like almost like, you know,
Yep.
I
And then
held
we
my own
never
weight.
after that we never lost touch
Nah,
because
nah,
I came in and then I left and went to Atlanta. Then I would come back and then me and you would link up and I would come over to your studio.
right, right in
Yep.
Long Beach,
In Long Beach.
yeah.
And it's a funny story,
Mm.
but
Wow.
it's a funny story, but I don't know if Cluso ever told you that I was probably one of the first people to do music for Erica Mena.
Yeah, you brought her
Oh
past my
yeah,
yeah, you brought her
Erica
past my
Mena.
crib. Yep,
Yep,
yep.
I bought her over there to his studio.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's some history right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I'm from the era where you live memories, but you don't tell them. You write a book about them.
Indeed.
Now everybody has to tell all their shit over stuff like this. Like nobody would know who I knew or who I've met or who's been involved in my career or people that I've helped out unless I tell the story. So,
Right.
I got to do. I'm starting to do that, and I'm starting to see that people care more about that than me pushing play. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Which is
I swear to
crazy.
God,
it's it's
they
the
want to
weirdest
hear,
thing.
yeah, it's crazy. They want to hear juicy stories. They want to hear all types of stuff, but I'm such an introvert and I'm into this music, it's been, like I said, it's been a crazy journey. It's been dope. I got so many stories but they're all, a lot of the stories I have are positive.
Right.
I don't have a lot of negative stuff, you know. I've got probably maybe a handful of negative things. Um, but everything else has been positive that have led me you know,
So
to my journey.
you're in Ruthless, you're
Hmm.
working, um, Dre and E are beefing.
Hmm.
So how did how did that balance go with you and between the row and Ruthless?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was quite shocking to the row that I was over there,
Yeah,
because
we
I
definitely
don't think they found that out until that song came out.
definitely.
But and that was the beauty of all of that. Like, just I can't make this shit up. Like it's crazy, right? Like you have to really look at life like God got jokes. He got hella jokes. and you're the punchline, and you just gotta laugh at shit and be like, man, that was funny as hell. You know, when I got over to Ruthless, um, it was only in my destiny to produce that song for him because that was my purpose for being there.
Right.
He was getting super dissed and really looking bad musically in the streets because Death Row was just killing niggas back to back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I had to really step up my superpowers because I was going up against you know who,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you know that was my Kobe Michael moment. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay,
I'm gonna show y'all.
uh,
Watch this. That's that.
yeah, that's what it was. It was like, okay, this happened over there. Now I got to help this nigga out severely and give him that one. What I'm really
And you
glad at,
did.
but this is what I'm happy about. I'm happy that they they shot the first blow. That's why I think besides the beat being ridiculous,
Right.
I think that's what really helped out was Death Row came in bombing
Mm-hmm.
first. They
Mm-hmm.
bombed first. And uh I had to really look at the situation and what it was really about. It was about betrayal. It was about who was real in the streets and who wasn't,
Okay.
you know. Because I'm hearing stories from, you know, I Easy E gave me a place to live. I lived with Easy E, bro. Like, there's no stories that nobody can tell you more than me, outside of his children and his women
Right.
and other homies. But when you living with somebody, my journey was as I was like his little brother. That he was like, okay, the shit happened between me and Dre. I'm gonna be better with you. That's how it kind of was. So I
Mm-hmm.
was I was super spoiled, man. I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to. I was, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I was Easy E's producer on Ruthless. I was spoiled. Hit records on the radio. It was crazy, man. It was, you know, it was wild, but it taught me a lot. And what it did teach me was how to really be a producer.
Okay.
Because I went from high school to the NBA.
So
You know.
let's make this clear. Since we on air,
Mm-hmm.
it's a hell of a difference between a beat maker and a producer. Well,
Oh fuck yeah,
okay. Right.
yeah, most definitely.
I've had these controversies for years, and I'm trying to
Well,
tell artists that you know
yeah, it's all a
it's a
part of
difference.
production. It's all a part of production. Right now, um, not to get off subject, but
Right.
right now everything has turned into commerce when it comes to DJing and making beats. It's a beat maker's world
Right.
and a technological world, but it's not a producer's world. A producer, there are many different hats a producer can wear, you know, but a musical arranger and the person that's behind the scenes hitting the keys and all that is all um it can get all summed up in one term, which is music producer.
Right.
Whether I'm on the beat making the beat myself or I got 10 other dudes that's sending me tracks and I'm taking loops, like, it's so much that could happen. But back then you had to be a music producer.
Absolutely.
It wasn't no beat maker.
Absolutely.
You had to be a music producer and come in and deal with these attitudes and the egos of, and don't be working with a nigga that's already a star or an artist that's already popping. They really go have attitude,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're a major producer that then had a hit record. Now they got to kind of listen to you and be like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, what do you want to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have that, but I had a lot of pressure on me over there. But I didn't know it. It was all in fun, but I had to deliver. And the pressure of me delivering is what made me come up with that heat. And I wasn't afraid to. I was just like, I'm finna show these niggas what's really up. And I went into the studio, and after so many different tries, I finally thought of that track and how I was gonna do it.
So
I was
yeah,
at. I'll
what
tell
was
you,
that?
like I've told this story before, but I was at this club, no, this deli in Beverly Hills called Larry Parker's. It was like a little eating spot,
Okay,
and it would stay open late at night. And me and my clique would go in there after the club, and we would, you know, get food. It was kind of like Jerry's Deli.
I got you.
But I was in there, and Yo MTV Raps came on, and Dre came across the screen, and Dre Day came on,
Mm.
and he was like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" And he put open, when it showed the
Mm-hmm.
Funkadelic shirt, and everybody in the Dre Day was banging, and everybody in the whole deli looked at me, was like, "Ooh, nigga, what is she gonna do now?" So that's what it was like. It was like, okay, all right, that's what's up. And then all of a sudden, Dre Day's playing on the radio, just because I was like there that night that they showed the video was the debut of the video.
All right.
Nobody, the song hadn't been playing on the radio. Yeah. And so everybody was like, my whole clique was like, oh shit, Rhythm. It was like,
Like what
if a nigga
next?
dunk on you,
Uh,
you know. So I went back to the studio that, a couple of nights later, and I sat down and I started really thinking about just vibing off of what I could come up with out of everything. I think what really made it happen was I had enough time to be around Eric and see who he was and see who they weren't.
mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I got to see who he was and see who they were not. And that's what made me come up with real motherfucking G.
Yeah.
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 I went in there
That
I
joint
went in
was
there and sampled my
cracking.
voice doing that. And I made the beat and I sampled my voice going, real motherfucking G. Over through the whole track. I just kept pushing the sample and came up with the drums, and that shit is all me. And had this little guitar lick that I sampled. And then later I came back in and had one of the musicians over at Ruthless named Mike Sims. He came in and he did the guitars on it. He played the
Mm-hmm.
the 1970s, because
Amazing.
I wanted it to sound dark and evil and like cinematic, it had to be this hard ass gangster coming in. It was like, y'all better step the fuck out of the way. It had to have that black exploitation films like, you know what I
Right.
mean, like
Right.
nigga,
Right.
but still, it was a cross between Nothing But a G Thing and Dre Day. It had that. I had to keep that tempo with with the mini moog and the famous G Funk whistle, which is all mini moog. It's all of it's the same. From
Okay.
if you Ohio Players, Roger, whatever you might want to do it. I think we took the gumbo of funk music, period, and made it our sound for gangster music.
Yeah.
Dre
Absolutely.
pioneered it, and we all, DJ Quick really,
Yeah. DJ Quick. Yeah.
yeah, he don't
Absolutely.
really get the love like he should, but he really, before all of that, he was funking it out. He's probably the funketeer on the West for sure. It's Quick.
So
Yeah.
you as the mastermind, but behind that crazy single, how'd that make you feel after that?
Triumphant. Like,
Mm.
you know, I felt like I did what I did. It's funny, like I was young, and so all of the crazy part about being over there was this. Everybody that was there, they were all like a family at Ruthless. And when Dre left, it was a void. It was nobody that could fill that void from his music production, and all his boys was there.
Right.
So they would try to, like, that's like you trying to replace Dre, and I had to deal with all that shit, bro. Like, I had to deal with and I don't think anybody over there really wanted to do that record against Dre, because they all loved it. You know what I'm saying? And they missed it. They was like, they was mad that him and Easy had broke. You messed up the crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't care. Everybody else can leave, but you let this nigga leave. You know what I'm saying? And I got to see all of that. I was still, I'm only like 21, 22. And all these dudes is older than me, and I'm just seeing how the record label was put together, how it was sort of like Motown. You got all the artists, they're all family, the writers is there, the producers, but Dre had the glue on the production, and they all missed him, and they didn't really, none of them, I don't think, really wanted to do a diss record against him, because they didn't have a problem with it. So it had to be somebody from the outside. And then there was already a little bit of animosity that they didn't even know about, that I felt at a young age from being over there. So It was sort of like they were shocked, like, damn, we didn't even know Rhythm was mad at us. Yeah. When in reality, I wasn't. I was actually doing my job. But the get back was fierce. You feel me? It was like, I didn't know I was gonna meet Eazy-E. I just was going with the flow of the universe, because I already had a hit record on the radio. I didn't have to be exclusively signed to anybody.
Indeed.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, it probably stung a little bit, and to this day, we all sit back and laugh at the shit, and that's even one of Dog's favorite songs. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a diss record against him, but he think it's dope, and I was able to regain a relationship back with Snoop. He came and got some production from me on the blue carpet treatment. I did Rich I Knew, and yeah, it was like, we all grown men now, but that was a fierce time in gangster rap music that we all survived, from shootings to,
It went down.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Like, I've been around Pac a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I was there when Coolio made Gangster Paradise. Like, you got to realize there was only so many studios in LA, so everybody was family orientated with our hip hop out here. You would in one studio you would have Coolio, and another studio Pac would be there, and another studio I'm in there working with Bone Thugs and Harmony, or anybody could have got on anybody's record, But yeah, it was pretty dope, man.
So
It was
you put together this G Funk sound. Um,
correction.
uh,
The G Funk sound is, when I first heard the term G Funk, it was from Warren G. That was the first person I heard say G Funk, because I would be around Warren when we'd be up at Death Row before anybody knew who either one of us was.
Okay.
And that was something that he coined, that I thought he coined by the phrase of G Funk, because it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense for that sound that Dre came up with, which kind of transcended from the Niggas for Life record, from Always Into Something, because of the mini move whistle from that SY-85, it just seemed like that's the sound that he was coming up with from that song, and it went over into the Chronic. That's just the way I looked at it as a producer, from hearing, because nobody had done that yet, from Always Into Something. I thought it was dope as fuck. I was like, man, that shit hard. He got that yeah, I was like, that shit is dope. And so, going from the more guitar funky sound that Quick was doing, to the darker sound of the mini move with that Always Into Something, and being around Battle Cat, And then being myself, I incorporated that into what my sound would be like if I was doing that. And so we all, the West Coast, ended up making that
Adopting
gangster
that
rap,
sound. Okay.
making that sound. Yeah,
Got
that's
you.
how it really happened because everybody was doing it, you know. But
Got
he
you.
Dre's the pioneer of it, and Warren G.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
just did what I did on that record and Paperboy's record and all these other records. I created my own sound from that. I think my sound more is how my sound is sort of like hip hop meets Roger Troutman. I have more of a it's more grimy gangster. It's more like you know what I mean. It's
Right, right.
like that.
Okay, I can dig
Yeah,
that.
that's my style from the style of music that I created called
Right.
Intense Method. So that's like I grew up listening to Roger Troutman a lot. So you know those beats that they was doing, that's all I did. I used to pop lock off of that. So hearing that and Cameo and all that, that's the influence that I had, as opposed to I think Dre and them had the influence of Funkadelic and you know what I'm saying. They're
Right.
more that sound like that, and then then you throw up everybody else, and they all sound like Ohio players, and
Mm-hmm.
then you got Hutch and Cocaine. They're the big pioneers of G Funk. That's like 187. That's his production sound. You know, so I don't. To be honest with you, I don't know who to me who did it first. I don't. I don't really know. I just know what when I started doing it. You know.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yes,
Who did
yeah.
it first?
What happens is, yeah, what happens is a certain style of music will come out, same way that grunge rock did and rock and roll, and it'll get the fans and the media will take a hold of it and coin it and call it something.
Right.
Just like we didn't know we were making gangster rap, we were just making street rap because Schoolie D was saying some foul shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, Schoolie,
Yeah,
yeah.
so like, come on, man. When PSK came out, I was like, nigga, what is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it when once something gets coined, everybody wants to know who is the originator of it. And either they get known for it and it becomes their thing and everybody after that
Just
kind of rides the wave.
ride
Like I
the
think,
wave, yeah.
yeah, like if like people really don't give Shock G credit from Digital Underground. That
True,
nigga was funky as hell. Come on now.
true,
Stop it.
true.
He played two different parts. Like that was the homie, man. That's then you got the Bay Area with you got 40. Like, who really came up with funk? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Too Short. You got so many funketeers in gangster rap and in street rap and pimp
Mm-hmm.
rap and all of that. It becomes pioneered as the West Coast sound. You know,
That's facts.
that's what happened. And
Jeez.
because I did that record, I got that stigmata, which I'm not mad about it, but that is you're not going to tell someone a regular fan who loved that record that I'm not funky. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So,
So
so you having that stamp? I mean, like it's worked for you throughout your
yeah,
career.
it hasn't it the stamp only works when that sound is working.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you have what is called a you get typecast in production, so nobody knows that you can do everything from jazz to waltz music. Like I'm a real musician, I can produce everything.
Right.
But if you're known for a sound and you're good at it, people only want that particular thing from you.
That's correct.
Yeah, unless you have a label that has money to continue to push your other forms of production, which is
Mm-hmm.
what Quincy Jones had
Yep.
and Dr. Dre had. You know,
Mm. That's a good educational piece right there. Some of these
yeah,
up and coming producers need to understand that. You know.
yeah. it's one of them things where you're gonna either be a producer that produces one style in one genre of music, or you're gonna be a real music producer that conquers all of it. And that's what I've been trying to prove in to myself, that I can do all forms of music. And I think this year everyone's gonna find that out.
Oh, okay. We're gonna touch on that later.
Yeah,
Now you're gonna let out some new gems on us.
yeah.
So your mentors, your early mentors, and who were they? As you was coming up, after you had the number one single, let's just use that. On that wave,
Uh, you mean mentors as people that I've learned from?
yeah,
Uh, just basically, I learned stuff from Easy E. I learned stuff from Smokey Robinson. I learned stuff from my biggest mentors was my parents.
right.
I come from a really good family, so I don't, you know, I don't put anybody above them. That's my biggest musical uh, mentor was Easy. And then he died. After that, I was mentoring my damn self.
I hear that.
You know what I'm saying? I the toughest thing for me was to go from a really spoiled creative producer who had a sound, who was on this label, and then Easy E dying. That's what slowed me down a lot, because I would have been able to produce with all types of money backing my sound.
Right.
That's where it's at. I'm not from the world of placements and all this. The music business that got corny as hell now. It's super popular, but the way they paying people and the shit has got super corny and entitled and just goofy. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of the things where, like, when you come from where I come from, I have to go deeper into the journey that's left for these next 25, 30 years that I got on this planet, and do what I know, do what my passion still is, and show what journey I'm going on. I don't follow anybody's bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't pay no attention. I just jump in, and I jump into the matrix, and then I come back to Zion. You feel me?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, my man.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, like
always,
right now.
Always a leader, not a follower.
Yeah, right now I got that thing in the back of my neck. I'm laying on the table.
You're right.
I'm sitting there like unplugging it.
We all there with you. That trust me. We all on that. We all on that table. That like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Right.
All right.
And jump right back into the coil of things in this game that you have actually experienced as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with more of Music Mondays at the Lab.